I'm one of the producers of this event, along with Michael Tippett and Sean Arden, both of whom are here. So today it's called Pacific Future, AI and Film. We've got tons of interesting stuff. There's 2 screenings and 2 panels. I'm going to pass it over to Michael Tippett in a couple of minutes, but first he's going to set the tone with some opening provocations and some framing. But first I wanted to begin by acknowledging that you're gathered on the traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. We are grateful for the opportunity to gather here, and as we engage in discussions today, I hope that we can take a moment to reflect on how we can be supporting Indigenous sovereignty and promoting cultural heritage. So wanted to begin with that. I also wanted to thank our sponsors. We have Dream Flare, Parallel 49. I don't think those guys are here yet, but they will be joining us. And I also wanted to thank our partners in this event, DigiBC, of course, Signals, everybody who's been helping out to make this happen, Locke, Debbie, Laura, Christina, Loretta, Lara, Raina, Colleen, Scott, Cody, and the IM4 team, all of the Signals hosts, you know who you are, and Rob Calder as well, who isn't here yet either, but thank you to all of those people. Amazing to be part of this. So I'm going to now pass it over to Michael Tippett.
All right, thank you. So welcome. This is the first time we're doing this, and so we're not sure how it's going to go. We're quite excited about it, but the plan is to run these events again. So just to give you a little bit of background on myself, and also encourage you to visit our website at pacific.film, where you can sign up and find out all of the new things that will be running for the remainder of the year and next year. So hopefully that this becomes something that's repeated and changes and evolves over time. So I think I know many of you in this room, but for those of you that I don't know, I'm a technology entrepreneur and have been for 20 years. And my background has been always in emerging technology. And so in the late 90s, I started one of the first digital agencies in Canada. So I was very early on the web. I thought the web was going to be a big deal. Turned out it was. I then lived in New York for a number of years and worked with one of the first social networks before it was called social networks, and thought that was going to be a big thing. Turned out that was also a pretty big thing. And then came back to Vancouver and started a news service called Now Public, because I looked at what was happening with mobile phones and the fact that they now had cameras on them, which seems like kind of a duh thing right now, but at the time was actually a novel thing, and thought that that was really going to radicalize and disrupt many businesses, including the news business. And so put a team together and raised some money and built a company called Now Public, which became at its height, the world's largest citizen journalism network. We had 300,000 reporters worldwide. So I feel like I've kind of been there when new emerging technology has come about, and that's sort of my thing. And so when AI and generative AI started appearing on my radar, I thought, wow, this is actually going to be a really big deal. And even though all 3 of these things moved at very, very rapid paces, I've never ever seen anything move as quickly as AI. And so I think it's important that we all pay attention to it. So what am I doing now? It's a good question. So I was doing corporate development and business development for a company called Later.com. We sold the company. And after a couple of years of continued service there, I decided that this whole AI thing was just too big to pass up. And so I left Later, and I'm now doing 2 things. I'm doing analysis in the industry and writing, publishing on my website, tippett.org. And I'm also just trying to keep up with what's happening in the AI space. And the way I've been able to do that is built a website called adio.pro, which basically has all the tools that people use to produce AI and video and film. And I have a research team that keeps that up to date. So These are all free, so please, if you want to keep up with the space, please visit and check it out. So I wanted to kind of frame the context here because we're in an interesting time in the evolution of AI and how it's going to affect video and film and Hollywood and advertising and social media and all of these different things. And so I wanted to make 2 points because we're going to see a whole bunch of films here that many of you, I hope, have not seen before. So point number 1 is that AI movies are not as good as regular movies, right? And the other thing I would say is that there's a lot of emerging streaming platforms that are popping up. They are not as good as Netflix, right? Now, this might sound like a strange thing for someone who's putting on an AI film event to say, but the point is that just because they're not good yet doesn't mean they won't be. And that's what I think is kind of exciting about this space. And so when I've been involved in disruptive technologies, there's a number of different frameworks you can use to try and figure out how the hell this is going to evolve. The most useful one I found has been the work of Clay Christensen, who has this notion of disruptive technology. And I encourage you all to go to the Wikipedia entry and maybe even read one of his books. He's very instructive in terms of how the stuff plays out. And his theory has it that in any industry, over time, you have established players, and they have a kind of innovation curve where they're serving their existing customers, and those customers are asking for improvements, and they're able to incrementally improve the product. And so Christensen calls that sustaining innovation, right? And it goes at a certain rate. Very difficult to make that curve go any steeper because you've got customers that don't want change, you've got legacy technology you need to support, you've got people that know how to do certain things and are reluctant to change. And then what happens is you have a little startup that pops up, and that startup usually does something different. So a great example I've always thought is when Google Docs came online, it was far inferior to Word, right? You couldn't do any formatting, and so if you looked at Word and you looked at the equivalent on Google Docs, you'd be like, this is garbage. However, what Google Docs allowed you to do is you could collaborate and connect and share documents in the cloud. And so what that meant is that even though it was in some ways an inferior product, it was superior to people who were looking for a different set of features, i.e. collaborative tools. And so what happens is that that new evolving technology gets a different customer set who is looking for a different set of features and values. And what will happen is because that startup is not encumbered by years of legacy technology and infrastructure and all the other things that slow a company down, they're actually able to evolve and mature their technology at a faster rate. And so that's what Christensen calls disruptive innovation. And the reason it's disruptive is because at some point, the new technology is going to be as good as the old technology. And so you have product parity. And it's at that point that the industry gets disrupted and the incumbents, in many cases, cease to exist. Just ask Blockbuster. So this is a chart by Andreessen Horowitz that shows a lot of the new companies that are popping up. Some of them will be familiar to you, I would imagine. A couple of things to note. Runway has just done a partnership with Lionsgate. So these companies that are building this new technology are both competing and also partnering with existing players. And then Stability AI just brought on James Cameron as an advisor. So there is definitely, this is not like science fiction. This is not like a futuristic thing. This is actually happening right now. And so the whole point of this event is to get the conversation started, help educate people about what's happening now and today, and understand how you can participate in it and how the industry can evolve in ways that is positive for all of us. So I never realized Abe Lincoln was the guy who said this. Like, I always thought it was like some venture capitalist or something, but the best way to predict the future is to create it. Abe, eh? Just who would have guessed? Anyway, that's what I think we should try to do here. And so I encourage you all to approach everything you hear today with an open mind and contribute and ask tough questions. And stay in touch. So this is my email address. Love to hear from you. And if you've got any feedback or suggestions, comments, please send them my way.